I was running through the woods like hell was on my heels, branches snapping behind me, someone still chasing. But what I found in front of me was way more dangerous than anything behind. An alpha, bleeding out, barely breathing, staring straight at me with those molten gold eyes. He grabbed my wrist, fingers ice cold, and whispered one broken word. Don't leave. I had no clue the man I was trying to keep alive with my own hands was the hidden King Alpha of this entire damn kingdom.
I mean, yeah, it's a forest. No streetlights, no signal. But tonight felt like something else entirely. Like the trees were holding their breath, waiting. I wasn't supposed to be here either. Not barefoot, not bleeding, not running from people who used to call themselves my pack. My lungs burned as I pushed through another wall of cold air, branches whipping across my face. Every snap behind me made me flinch. Every breath felt like borrowed time. And then, thud. A heavy body hitting the ground somewhere ahead. I froze. For 1 second, my brain screamed, "Don't go there. Turn around. Hide." But the part of me that still had human decency, or maybe just stupidity, dragged my feet forward. I stepped through the thick brush and stopped dead. There was a man collapsed in the dirt. No, an alpha. I knew instantly. Not from some scent spark or destiny pull. Just the way the air around him felt, charged, sharp enough to sting my skin, like heat lightning before a storm hits. He was slumped against a fallen log, one hand clutching his side. Blood soaked through his shirt, dark, messy, way too much. His breathing was shallow, each inhale sounding like it scraped against broken glass. His face was hidden behind dirt and loose strands of dark hair. But when he opened his eyes, God, those eyes weren't normal alpha eyes. They were molten gold, glowing faintly, even in the dark. He wasn't just injured. He was dying. I should have run. Every sane part of me said, "Walk away. You barely survived your own pack. Don't get dragged into someone else's war." But then his hand shot out, fast, desperate, and wrapped around my wrist. His skin was ice cold. "Don't," he swallowed, voice cracking. "Leave." That one broken word hit harder than any order barked by any alpha I'd ever known. It wasn't a command. It was a plea. Hey, hold on." I crouched beside him, hands shaking. "You're losing way too much blood. What happened to you?" His throat bobbed, but he didn't answer the question. Instead, he looked straight into me, in a way that made my chest tighten. "Your scent," he whispered. "It calms the pain." Great. Just my luck. A dying alpha imprinting on me while I'm barely holding myself together. His body convulsed suddenly, fingers gripping harder, claws partly out. He was losing control, fast. "Listen," I said, trying to sound steady even though my voice was trembling. "I don't know who you are, but if you stay like this, you're not making it through the hour." His lips parted. He rasped, "life bond? Broken? Need to anchor it, or the shift will—" He didn't finish. He didn't need to. I knew enough stories. A high-ranking alpha with a destabilized life bond could combust from inside, Pheromones, tearing them apart molecule by molecule. I swallowed hard. Are you saying you're about to go feral? His eyes flickered, gold flashing brighter. I took that as a yes. He dragged his hand to his pocket, barely managing to pull out a thin metal band. A bond bracelet, a legal one, half scorched, half activated. He shoved it toward me with his last bit of strength. "Put it on," he whispered. "Please." I froze. Life bonding in Alpha, even temporarily, wasn't a joke. If he was a rogue, a criminal, a runaway, bonding him meant getting dragged into whatever nightmare he belonged to. But if I refused, he would die. Right here, right now. And I'd have to live knowing I walked away from someone who begged me not to. My hands were shaking as I lifted the bracelet. "This is crazy," I muttered. He let out the faintest laugh, dry, pained. "You have no idea." When the metal clicked around my wrist, heat shut up my arm, searing hot, but strangely comforting. His fingers loosened instantly. His breathing steadied, barely, but the feral edge in his aura dulled. I didn't expect what happened next. He leaned forward, forehead pressing against my shoulder like his body finally let go of fight mode. His scent, deep, smoky, storm-like, wrapped around me, warm despite everything. Then he whispered something so faint, I almost missed it. "Thank you." And then he collapsed fully, unconscious, weight dropping into my arms. I caught him before he hit the ground again, my heart hammering. Hey, stay with me!" I tapped his cheek, but his eyes didn't open. He was out. Completely. But the bond on my wrist glowed faintly, gold like his eyes. I looked at his face, then at the bracelet, then back at the forest behind me. And that's when I heard it. Boots. Metal. Soldiers. Voices echoing through the trees. "Search this area. He has to be close. If the king is bleeding, the traitors won't get far." King? King? I stared at the unconscious Alpha in my arms. No way. There was absolutely no way I had just bonded myself, even temporarily, to the King Alpha of this whole damn kingdom. Because if that was true, my entire life just tilted off its axis. If you're still here, yeah, the next part hits even harder.
The voices were getting closer. Heavy boots crunching over leaves, armor clinking, the kind of organized movement only trained soldiers make. My stomach dropped. I looked at the unconscious Alpha in my arms, still out cold, still bleeding, still holding on to life because of the bond bracelet now glowing on my wrist. If he really was the King Alpha, then I was screwed in at least 10 different ways. A branch snapped behind me. "Units, sweep to the north. He can't be far." My pulse spiked. Okay, options. Option 1, drop the guy and run. Yeah, no, my conscience would kill me if the soldiers didn't. Option 2, pretend I wasn't involved. Sure, because carrying the most powerful Alpha in the region is totally casual. Option 3, hide. With an unconscious King Alpha in a forest crawling with royal soldiers. Yeah, I know, but I was panicking. Logic wasn't exactly my bestie right now. I dragged him toward the thickest part of the brush, my arms screaming from the weight. He was tall, heavy, and built like someone who wins wars by just existing.
Dude, I whispered under my breath, you didn't have to be this muscular. I managed to pull him behind a fallen tree, then crouched low, heart hammering. The soldier's footsteps grew louder, fast, coordinated, closing in like a tightening noose. Spread out! His Majesty's bond signature is still pulsing. He's nearby. His Majesty. The words felt unreal, unbelievable. I looked down at him again. Dirt smeared on his jawline, blood dried on his shirt, golden eyes hidden behind closed lids. He didn't look like a king. He looked like someone who'd been hunted. A shadow moved past me, and I sucked in a sharp breath. 2 soldiers walked just a few feet away, lanterns swinging, blades drawn. If the traitors got a hit on him, we're in deep trouble. They wouldn't dare unless they had inside help. Inside help? They snorted. We checked every noble. No one would betray the king. The first soldier sighed. He's too trusting sometimes. That's how he gets hurt. I blinked. The king trusting? The man who nearly crushed my wrist earlier didn't exactly scream soft-hearted. Another set of footsteps stopped directly behind the fallen tree. I froze, barely breathing. A soldier's voice rang out. Captain, I found blood! Fresh! Oh, crap! The Alpha in my arm shifted slightly, pain twisting his features. I panicked and pressed a hand over his mouth, not to silence him, but to make sure he didn't make a noise that would get us both killed. Stay quiet, I whispered, even though he was unconscious. But then, his fingers curled weakly around mine. Even unconscious, he wasn't letting go. Something in my chest tightened. Great. Now I was bonding emotionally, too. Fantastic. A loud voice cut through the air. Hold formation. If His Majesty's life bond is flickering, his stabilizer is close. Don't harm whoever's with him. Whoever's with him. That would be me. A runaway Omega with nothing but trauma and bad luck. The soldiers paused. The air shifted. Then, continue north. For the king. Move. Their footsteps faded as they sprinted deeper into the forest. I stayed frozen for a solid minute before my knees finally gave out and I let out a shaky breath. Okay, we survived that part. But now what? I tapped the Alpha's cheek again. Hey, king or not, I really need you to wake up before I develop a full mental breakdown. Nothing. Seriously, you're gonna make me carry you again? Still nothing. I dragged a hand through my messy hair, trying to figure out my next move, when a faint glow pulsed from the bracelet on my wrist. A warm one, almost comforting. The Alpha's breathing steadied, his hand releasing mine only to settle weakly against my thigh as if grounding himself through the bond. His voice, hoarse, barely audible, broke the silence. Omega. I nearly choked. I leaned closer. What did you say? His eyes flickered under his lids. Don't go. Not a command, not dominance, just fear. My chest tightened all over again. Hey, I said quietly, I'm not going anywhere. Just don't die on me, okay? I kinda saved your life, remember? His brow twitched, almost like he heard me, even though he wasn't fully conscious. I checked his wound again, still bleeding, but slower. Bond stabilization was helping, but not enough. He needed real medical help, a healer, a palace medic, something, which meant I had to go to the palace. With him, a person who, I didn't know, might be the literal king, might also have enemies trying to kill him right now, and who I was temporarily bonded to without consent. Yeah, this night just kept getting better. I exhaled shakily. Okay, I'll take you home. I lifted him again, hooking his arm around my shoulder. It felt easier this time, not physically, but emotionally, like the bond was helping guide me. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves. Somewhere far behind, a wolf howl echoed through the night. I didn't know if it was friend or foe. I didn't want to find out. I pushed forward into the dark, one step at a time, the weight of the unconscious Alpha steady against me. I had no idea what would be waiting at the palace gates. Guards with questions, nobles with accusations, enemies blaming me for hurting him.
Hell, maybe the king himself would wake up and tear me apart for bonding him without permission. But one thing was clear. My life was never going back to normal. Not after tonight. Not after him. And definitely not after the truth was revealed.
By the time the palace walls came into view, my legs felt like noodles and my lungs hated me. The place was massive. Dark stone towers, silver banners whipping in the wind, guards patrolling like they were waiting for war to break out any second. And I was walking straight toward them, carrying their probably dying king. Yeah, totally normal Tuesday night. As soon as I stepped onto the cobblestone path, 2 sentries spotted me. "Halt! Identify yourself!" I swallowed hard. Yeah, hi. So, funny story, your Alpha King kind of collapsed on me, and before I could finish, their eyes widened at the sight of him, and everything exploded into movement. "His Majesty! Call the medics, now! Get Commander Hale!" I got swarmed in seconds. Armor, torches, people yelling orders. The Alpha was lifted off my shoulder and placed onto a reinforced stretcher like he was made of glass. For a moment, I just stood there, arms shaking, shirt soaked in his blood, brain fried. Then someone grabbed me, not rough, not gentle either, just firm. A tall beta with steel gray eyes and a jaw sharp enough to cut stone stared down at me. "Are you the stabilizer?" he asked. "What?" "The life bond link. Are you the one who signed it?" "Oh, yeah, that was, me." He exhaled like I'd personally ruined his week. "Great. Fantastic. Just what we needed. Another stray Omega caught in royal politics." "Wow," I deadpanned. "Thanks for the warm welcome." He pinched the bridge of his nose. "I'm Commander Hale. You're coming with me." "Wait, hey, I didn't do anything wrong." "You bonded with the king." "That's because he was dying." Hale opened his mouth, then shut it again, because, okay, he didn't have a comeback for that. "Still," he muttered, "you're involved, which means you're under royal protection and royal suspicion." My stomach flipped. "Suspicion? For what? I literally saved him." "Everyone who touches the king is a suspect until proven innocent." "Well, that's messed up." "Welcome to the palace." He started walking. I reluctantly followed. We moved through long hallways lit with enchanted lamps, blue fire flickering in glass globes. Servants stopped and stared as we passed, whispering like I was some mysterious prophecy or walking disaster. Honestly, could have been either. When we reached the medical wing, the air changed. Warmer, cleaner, tense. Healers in white robes rushed around the king's unmoving form, chanting softly, hands glowing with golden light. I stayed behind the glass partition, heart thudding. He looked worse. His skin was pale, his breathing uneven. The wound on his side pulsed with dark energy. A healer sighed heavily. "The toxin is spreading. The bond is delaying it, but not stopping it." Toxin. Someone poisoned the king. My mouth went dry. Commander Hale leaned toward the medic. Will he wake? Not without the stabilizer's presence or a miracle. Great. So now I was medical equipment. Awesome. Hale turned to me. "You're staying." "What? No, I should go. This is your king. I'm nobody." "You bonded him," Hale said flatly. "You don't get to be nobody anymore." His tone wasn't mean, just tired, like he'd seen too many nights like this. "I don't even know his name," I whispered. Hale looked at me for a long moment, as if deciding whether I deserved the truth. Then he said it. "His name is Aldrich Vane, Alpha King of the Northern Dominion, chosen heir of the Silver Blood line, and the most hunted man in the region." Hunted? My heart sunk. What did he do to deserve that? Hale's jaw tightened. Existing. Before I could respond, the glass door slid open. A healer beckoned me inside. Stabilizer, she said. Come closer. He responds to your presence. I stepped in slowly, pulse racing. The room was quiet except for the hum of enchanted tools. Aldrich lay on the bed, chest rising shallowly, jaw clenched like he was fighting something inside his mind. I edged closer. The bracelet on my wrist glowed brighter. His fingers twitched. Then, out of nowhere, his eyes cracked open. Not fully, not even halfway, but enough for me to see that his irises were glowing molten gold again. His gaze found mine instantly, like he'd been tracking me through the dark. His lips parted. You. Just one word, barely audible, but it sent a shiver down my spine. He reached for my wrist. I didn't even have time to react. His hand closed around mine, and the bond flared like wildfire. Images flashed in my mind. A throne room in chaos, blood on marble floors, a shadowed assassin, a familiar crest burning in the dark. I gasped. The vision snapped. His hand fell limp again. He was out. The healers rushed in, stabilizing him as the bond dimmed to a calmer glow. Hale grabbed my shoulder. What did you see? I don't know, but something is wrong. Someone close to him tried to kill him. Hale's face went stone cold. I knew it. Gods, I knew it. He turned toward the door, voice booming. Double the guards. No one enters this wing without my approval. Chaos erupted again, but I stood frozen. Aldrich had reached for me. Not his soldiers, not his trusted commander. Me. Some runaway Omega with more trauma than common sense. Why? What did he try to show me? And why did it feel like my life had just been yanked into a story I wasn't supposed to be part of? One thing was crystal clear. Whatever was coming, it wasn't just about saving the king anymore. It was about surviving the people who wanted him dead. And maybe the people who wanted me gone too.
The palace didn't sleep that night. Guards rushed in and out of the medical wing, healers whispered urgent spells, and Commander Hale barked orders like he was holding the kingdom together by sheer force of will. And me? I stood by the king's bedside, feeling like I'd been dropped into someone else's war. Aldrich lay motionless, his breaths shallow, the toxin clinging to him like a curse. Every few minutes, the bracelet on my wrist would pulse, like the bond was reminding me I was part of this now, whether I liked it or not. Hale finally returned, steel boots thudding against the marble floor. He didn't speak immediately, just studied me with that sharp, calculating stare of his. "You're still here," he said at last. I frowned. "You guys told me not to leave." "That was 3 hours ago." Oh, I hadn't noticed time passing. I hadn't noticed anything except Aldrich's unstable breathing. Hale stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Listen carefully. Only 3 groups knew His Majesty would be traveling tonight: the High Council, the Royal Guard, and the Heir Circle." I blinked. Heirs what? A small inner circle of nobles connected to the king by lineage. Hale crossed his arms, which means the attack came from someone with high-level access. So basically, someone important stabbed the most important man here. "Do you have suspects?" I asked. He hesitated, jaw ticking. "Yes." "And?" "And none of them are people we can accuse without evidence. If we make one wrong move, the kingdom fractures." My chest tightened. "So what does that mean for the king?" Hale's eyes flicked to Aldrich. "It means whoever wanted him dead is going to realize he survived." His tone darkened. "And they'll try again." I swallowed hard. "And me?" What happens if they see me with him? He didn't sugarcoat it. They'll come for you too. A beat, but not if we move first. Before I could ask what that meant, the healers stepped aside, their faces grim. The toxin isn't spreading anymore, but it's not breaking either. Her gaze drifted to me. The bond is the only thing keeping him stable. So what do we do? I whispered. She didn't answer, not with words. Instead, she placed my hand into Aldrich's. The moment our skin touched, the bond flared warm, like a deep heartbeat syncing with mine. His fingers curled around me without waking. A small, involuntary thing, but it hit me like a punch to the chest. The healer's voice softened. You don't understand it yet, but he chose you. Even unconscious, his instincts reach for you. I didn't ask him to. No, she agreed. But you didn't run either? That shut me up. Hale cleared his throat. Stabilizer, what exactly did you see in that vision earlier? I replayed the flashes in my mind. The blood, the crest, the shadowed silhouette. It happened fast, but someone stabbed him. And the crest burning beside the assassin, some kind of silver flame shape. Hale froze. What? I asked. He didn't answer immediately. He just dragged me into the hallway, away from healers, away from guards. When we were alone, he whispered, That crest belongs to House Farrowin. Should I know who that is? They're the king's closest allies, his childhood companions, his sworn family. I stared at him. Their house tried to kill him? We don't know yet. His voice hardened. But if your vision is real, then everything in this kingdom is about to explode. Before I could respond, alarms rang through the palace, deep, thunderous bells that rattled the air. Red lights flashed across the hallway. Guards sprinted past. What now? I gasped. Hale grabbed his blade. Unauthorized breach, south wing. Breach. In the palace? Tonight? You think it's them? I asked. He didn't look back as he ran. I think they came to finish the job. He sprinted towards the chaos, leaving me alone outside Aldrich's chamber. The alarms blared louder. My heart pounded harder. If the attackers were inside, then the king was in danger again. I turned back towards his room. The healers were hurriedly drawing protective sigils, but the glowing lines flickered. Someone was tampering with the palace's magic from the inside. Aldrich twitched on the bed, face tightening like he sensed the threat. I stepped closer, my voice trembling. Hey, you need to hang on. Just a little longer. Suddenly, the floor vibrated. A boom shook the wing, then another, then... The sigil shattered in a burst of sparks. The healers gasped. The protective barrier around Aldrich collapsed with a crack like splitting ice. Someone was breaking through, hard. I stood frozen, staring at the door as the handle slowly, quietly turned. My breath hitched. This was it. The assassin had found him, and the only thing standing between them and the unconscious king was me. The door creaked open. Cold air rushed into the room. I stepped in front of Aldrich's bed before I could talk myself out of it, hands shaking, heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. But when the figure stepped in, it wasn't an assassin. It was a boy. Young, maybe 16, breathing hard, eyes wide with terror, clothes torn like he'd been running from something. He froze when he saw me. You, the Omega, you're with him. That depends, I said cautiously. Are you here to kill him or help him? He held up his hands. Help! I'm here to help! I blinked. Well, unexpected. Why would I believe that? I asked. He swallowed, stepping closer. Because House Pharaoh didn't send me. I ran away from them. That name again. What do you mean, ran away? He stumbled forward, voice cracking. They're going to blame you for the attack. They want the kingdom to think you poisoned him. My stomach dropped. What? Why me? Because you're a nobody outsider. Easy to frame. Easy to hide behind. I stared at him, horrified. He continued. They staged the ambush. They want the throne, and they know the king's bond chose you. If you stay with him, you're a threat to their plan. Why? I'm not royalty. No. But he connected to you, and that makes you leverage. A sudden crash sounded down the hall. The boy paled. They're coming! My pulse spiked. I grabbed his arm. Why help me? You don't even know me. He hesitated, before his gaze flicked toward Aldrich. I owe him, he whispered. He saved my life when my own house wouldn't. Before I could respond, another boom shook the floor. The lights flickered. Aldrich groaned, the first sound since he collapsed. Move, I told the boy. Barricade the door. He ran to push a heavy cabinet in front of it. I grabbed the king's shoulder, shaking him gently. Hey, wake up! Your kingdom needs you, man! His brow twitched. The bond pulsed. The lights dimmed, then flared bright again like reacting to our connection. The boy gasped. He's responding! Keep going! I leaned closer. Aldrich, wake up! I don't know you, but right now, you're the only person who can stop whatever's coming. Another explosion rattled the room. The cabinet slid across the floor, even though we hadn't touched it. Magic. Strong magic. Too strong. The boy screamed. They're breaking the last seal! I grabbed Aldrich's hand. It was warm. Too warm. Like fire under the skin. Aldrich! Wake up! His breathing quickened. Shadows flickered across the room. Then suddenly his eyes flew open. Pure, molten gold. Bright, sharp, unmistakably alpha. He shot up with a violent inhale as I gasped. Where is the threat? I pointed toward the door. Everywhere. The cabinet exploded inward, splinters flying. Aldrich rose from the bed, swaying but fueled by sheer alpha instinct. 3 cloaked attackers stepped in, blades drawn, eyes burning with sigils. House Pharaoh. Aldrich stood between me and them, shoulders heaving, fury radiating off him like heat. You dare bring harm into my palace, he growled. Your reign ends tonight, one hissed. Aldrich's jaw flexed. Not while I'm breathing. He pushed me back gently. Stay behind me. Stay in the bond. I didn't know what that meant. And suddenly the bracelet glowed, and a wave of energy surged through Aldrich, stabilizing him. He roared, and the attacker staggered back as if struck by invisible force. The boy shouted from behind us, The bond amplifies him! He's drawing power from you! Aldrich launched forward. The room erupted into chaos, magic clashing, sparks flying, shadows whipping across marble. Even weakened, Aldrich fought like a storm, like a king. And for every step he faltered, the bond pulled him back, feeding him strength, my strength. One attacker grabbed me by the collar. You don't deserve that bond. Before I could react, Aldrich was there, slamming the man into the wall so hard the plaster cracked. His voice was lethal. Touch him again, and you lose your hands. The attacker slumped unconscious. Aldrich turned to the others, chest heaving. You wanted a king? Now you face him. The final attacker fled. Coward. Aldrich took 2 shaky steps, then collapsed to one knee. I rushed to him. Hey, stay with me. He looked up at me, golden eyes dimming but softening.
You saved my life. I think we saved each other. His gaze held mine for a long moment. Then, quietly, I need you to stay. Not a command, a request. A personal one. I swallowed. I'm here. And for the first time, Aldrich almost smiled.
After the battle, everything moved fast. Guards stormed the wing. Healers rushed back in. The boy, whose name I finally learned was Kian, was taken into protective custody. But Aldrich? Despite standing minutes ago, he was crashing hard. He slumped into the bed, sweat sliding down his temples, hands trembling. The toxin inside him hadn't been cured, only suppressed. I sat beside him as healers examined him again. The bond is giving him borrowed strength, one said, but it won't last forever. Aldrich gripped my wrist weakly. Don't leave. I shook my head instantly. I'm not going anywhere. The healers left us alone to rest. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Aldrich exhaled softly. You shouldn't be here. I raised a brow. I literally saved your life twice. That's exactly the problem. He looked away. You're in danger because of me. Correction, I'm in danger because someone tried to kill you. His eyes snapped back to mine. And they will try again, he said quietly. And when they do, they'll aim for the bond first. What does that mean? He swallowed. It means they'll try to break you. My stomach twisted. You think I can't handle myself? I think you shouldn't have to, he said, his voice softer than before. Then his gaze moved to the bracelet on my wrist. The bond shouldn't have chosen you. I frowned. Why not? Because you're... He hesitated. You're vulnerable, untethered, unprotected. Wow, I muttered. Thanks for the vote of confidence. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from my forehead, fingers warm. I didn't mean weak, he murmured. I meant precious. My heart stuttered. Aldrich froze like he hadn't meant to say that out loud, then looked away. I cleared my throat, trying to breathe normally again. Look, I saw your memories. Someone close to you betrayed you. That's not on me. It's not on you, he agreed. But it becomes your burden because the bond makes you part of my life, whether either of us wanted that or not. I studied him. He looked strong. He looked royal. He looked terrifying. But under all that, he looked tired, lonely, human. Okay, I said, softly. Then we deal with this together. His eyes widened. You're not running, he whispered. I've been running my whole life. I'm tired. Maybe it's time I stayed. Aldrich stared at me like he was trying to memorize every detail. Then I need to give you something, he said. He lifted his hand. The air shimmered. Magic wrapped around his palm, gentle, warm, golden. This is a king's ward, a royal mark of protection. It makes harming you treason. Treason? I repeated. That's dramatic. You deserve nothing less. He pressed his palm over my heart. Heat pulsed deep, warm, bright, powerful. A mark bloomed against my skin, a small silver flame, the same crest from the vision, only now it protected me. I sucked in a breath. Aldrich. He withdrew his hand slowly, expression unguarded. You're under my protection now. As long as I live, no one touches you. That's a big promise. It's the only one I can give. For a moment, the world felt still. Then Kian burst into the room. "Your Majesty, the council wants answers, and House Farrowin is demanding the Omega be arrested." Aldrich growled softly. "No, absolutely not." Kian looked at me apologetically. "I told them you weren't the attacker, but they don't want to hear it." Aldrich stood, unsteady but fueled by something fierce. He extended his hand toward me. "Come." I blinked. "Where?" "To face them. With me." My pulse jumped. "I'm not exactly council material. You're my stabilizer. And after tonight, you're the only person I trust." I stared at his hand, at the man who was supposed to die but lived, at the king who fought through poison and betrayal, at the alpha who kept reaching for me, even unconscious. Slowly, I placed my hand in his. His fingers tightened around mine, steady and sure. "Whatever happens," Aldrich murmured, "you don't face it alone." And for once, I believed someone. We walked toward the council chamber together, toward danger, toward the political storm waiting to devour us both. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid, because the king's bond was warm around my wrist, because his mark burned bright over my heart, and because somehow, some way, I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning.